Hello, CRPA Camp College participants. I hope that you are all well, healthy, and happy during this very challenging and unique situation we all find ourselves in. Dan Jascott from Empower Leadership here, and I'm very excited to be part of this hopefully temporary new version of Camp College. The COVID-19 pandemic has required us all to think differently about how we do recreation. And I hope this presentation is helpful for your summer programs and any other out-of-school programming that you lead. The presentation is called Engaging and Empowering Activities for Summer Camp. And because of the uncertainty caused by the COVID-19 situation, I have included activities that can be delivered both in person and remotely or online, whatever you may have to do to adjust to the situation we are all in. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Thank you so much for taking a look at it. Camp is where I learned about me, facing fears, pushing my boundaries, and accepting myself. If I have ever had the pleasure of working with your camp staff, either at Camp College or elsewhere, you know how I feel about the importance of summer camp for kids. The quote from Camp Confessions sums it up perfectly. Camp is an opportunity for kids to truly find themselves without the stressors of school, projects, and tests. The purpose of today's presentation is to share logistical information, best practices, and group organization techniques for 3 different activities for your summer camp. As I mentioned earlier, I chose activities that can either take place at camp or can be delivered remotely. The activities are all also set up to be social distance friendly. There are 4 common objectives shared between the activities: community building at camp, problem solving and teamwork, creative recreation, and development of other essential skills. For example, perseverance and grit, setting goals and a path to achievement, accountability, controlling the controllable, and of course, being courageous. We're going to cover 3 different activities today, all of them requiring minimal props or equipment. The 3 activities we will go over are individual or team juggle, the weight-bearing boat building challenge, and last but not least, the paper bag invention and infomercial presentation. For each activity, we will review equipment needs, delivery and instructions, safety considerations, group organization, and takeaways or lessons for your campers. The activities can all be done at home or at camp and are social distance safe. They can also be run multiple times throughout the summer, with some creativity, of course, and can be led as fun, collaborative challenges, team versus team competitions, or even intra-team competitions. For example, can you or your team beat your score from the previous week? With the right delivery and leadership, each activity will provide your campers with awesome opportunities to learn about themselves while developing skills that are very helpful in life. The 3 key essential skills for these activities are leadership, helping campers learn that there is a process to success. Too often, youths try something once, experience some struggles, then quit or never try it again. It's time for those campers to build up that grit and perseverance. The second key element, teamwork and problem solving. Camp is about being creative and exploring options while working with others. The last key essential skill is community building. My hope is that through these activities, you're able to create an environment at camp in which hard work and working well with others is rewarded and celebrated. We want to empower the campers to try their best and work well with others during these adventures and whatever adventures they have in store for them after camp. Alrighty, so the first activity we're going to get into is a simple juggle activity. And no, it's not the traditional juggle. It's a little bit different than that. This activity can be run as an individual activity or a team activity. So your choice, and we'll get into the details a little bit later on. To start with the basics of the activity, the equipment needs are extremely simple. Each person or each team, depending on how you have it set up, will need some object or ball, preferably something that will have a little bit of float to it. So you don't want something too heavy that if throws up in the air and it comes down really quickly. So you want something that has a little bit of float to it. For younger campers, I would absolutely recommend a balloon or maybe even a beach ball. For older campers, a beach ball, maybe some sort of large wiffle ball type object, or even one of those light plastic 4-square balls. So not the hard rubber 4-square balls, one of the ones that has kind of the lighter plastic set up to it. The goal of the activity is to keep the object in the air as long as possible by using a different body part to juggle the object in the air. So they might have to tap it up with their hand first, then a foot, then an elbow, etc. And then teams are going to try to see how many consecutive juggles they can complete before the object falls to the ground. You can even make some fun restrictions to the activity to make it a little bit more challenging. For example, you can require the participants or the campers to use a different body part each time they juggle. So if I juggle the ball with my left hand, the next person cannot use their left hand. They maybe have to use their right hand or their foot, etc. The camp staff can also create a preset sequence that the campers have to follow. So maybe you have to start left hand, left shoulder, left foot, right foot, head, left knee, right knee, and then back to the beginning. So you can get creative with it, have some fun with it. If you're playing this game in teams, teammates must alternate turns juggling the object. So if I'm the first person to start, I hit it with my hand. The next person has to be the second person has to be the next person to juggle ball. Third person would then be the third person to juggle the ball, and then it would come back to me. Make sure the campers know that they should be keeping track of how many consecutive juggles that they can complete. A big part of this activity is to see if they improve over the course of time doing the activity. The safety restrictions are pretty straightforward here. The activity should be done outside in an open space, preferably grass, and with plenty of spacing in between individuals or teams. And then also remind the campers about social distancing practices. As I mentioned earlier, this activity can be done individually or in teams. And if you're going to do teams, I recommend no more than 5 or 6 campers per team. The key leadership takeaway for this activity is getting the campers to do something more than once with the goal of just getting a little bit better each time they play the game. Another takeaway for the activity is the sense of empowerment that comes when you try something that is challenging and over the course of time, you accomplish something that is exceptional. Think about a camper or a team setting the goal of getting 50 consecutive juggles by the end of the summer, and then the feeling that they get when they actually achieve that goal. All right, so we're 1 activity down, 2 more to go. The next activity is the weight-bearing boat challenge. Again, this can either be an individual or a group activity. For the weight-bearing boat challenge, each individual or team will need a 12-inch by 12-inch square of aluminum foil, a whole bunch of pennies, 100, 150, 200 pennies. Or if you have a lot of other small objects that weigh about the same, that's fine as well. Each individual or team will also need a 5-gallon bucket full of water. The goal of this activity is for each individual or team to build a boat out of their square of aluminum foil, see if their boat can float, and then see how many pennies the boat can hold before it sinks. The boat must have sides and a flat base and must be able to float without any weight before trying the actual challenge. After boat construction, the campers should carefully place their boat in the water bucket to ensure that it floats. Once the campers are confident that their boat floats, it is time to start carefully placing pennies, one at a time, and that is very important, one at a time into their boat. Again, we're going to be counting the number of pennies that the boat can hold, so the campers should keep track of that. Also, I would highly encourage the campers to spread the pennies out evenly in their boat, to disperse the weight. If you want to add a little more challenge to this activity, you can try one of two extensions. The first, the campers have to drop the pennies into the boat instead of placing them. And I recommend starting, maybe drop them from 6 inches or 1 foot above the boat. And then you could even increase to about 2 feet above the boat. The second extension would be that each camper must keep her or his eyes closed when placing a penny in the boat, relying on the communication from their teammates to successfully place the penny in the boat. So again, if I was the first camper, eyes closed, place the penny in the boat, open my eyes. Second camper would go and do the same, all relying on the communication from their teammates. And there actually is a third extension. You can combine extensions 1 and 2 for a very, very difficult version of this challenge. Again, safety considerations are pretty straightforward for the standard version when they have their eyes closed and they're just placing the pennies into the boat. Again, just be mindful of the social distance practices. If you do run this activity with any of the extensions, so whether it be them dropping the pennies into the boat or them having their eyes closed, there are a few additional safety considerations to be aware of. Number one, remind the campers that it is dropping the pennies into the boat, not doing fadeaway jumpers into the boat. We do not want anybody getting hit in the face or head or anywhere else with a penny that is thrown. And anytime you do any activity where participants have their eyes closed, it is absolutely important to stress to the campers that the number one priority is taking care of teammates. Also, if you have the campers using scissors to cut their own foil, make sure they use their noggin. If you're doing this remotely and you're having the kids do this activity at home, I would recommend encouraging their parents to be involved in the cutting of the foil portion of the activity. The activity is designed for 1 to 2 or 3 campers per team. So again, you can choose to do individually or split your teams up accordingly. And the key teamwork and problem-solving takeaway for this activity is creativity and collaboration. It's important for campers to learn that usually the best results are achieved when you are creative and you combine ideas with your teammates. It's usually not one person that will always get to the right solution in any given situation. So again, fostering that idea of working together with campmates to achieve a common goal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from getting to the finish line of this presentation. Thank you so much for checking it out. Our final activity is actually kind of a bit of a spin-off of like a camp talent show. Instead of performing a talent in front of camp, the challenge is going to require campers to create an invention out of the most random supplies possible. We'll get there in a moment. And then once they have their invention, they will create a sales pitch infomercial. Before we go any further in the activity description, I highly recommend you go on YouTube and type in funny infomercials. It is going to be well worth your time. What are the students inventing and trying to sell, you may ask? Well, again, just like our other activities, creativity from the camp staff will play a huge role here. Before running this activity for your campers, the camp staff should share some sort of problem that the campers have to solve with their invention. It could be as open and simple as, hey, campers, create an invention that will make camp better next summer. Or it could be as specific as create an invention that will make bus rides to our field trips even better. Have some fun with it. Be creative. As far as equipment needs, again, creativity is key. When I run this activity, I usually give each individual or team a brown paper lunch bag, and then I fill each lunch bag with the same set of extremely random items. Normally, I will use like 2 plastic forks, plastic spoons, plastic knives, a balloon, a few straws, some paper plates, paper bowls, some plastic cups, markers, and a roll of Scotch tape. something completely random. Just make sure each bag has the same set of random equipment. You can actually run this activity over multiple sessions. Session 1 could be introducing the mission to the campers. So, what are they trying to solve? And then giving them some time to brainstorm some different invention ideas. Session 2 could be invention creation. Session 3 could be developing and practicing their infomercial skit. And then the final session would be the presentation of the infomercials and the inventions. Camp staff can almost treat this activity a bit like Shark Tank, providing quote unquote funding, some sort of camp reward, for the best invention and infomercial. This activity will also lead to some great highlights for your summer camp video, end of summer camp video that you put together. Safety considerations, again, very simple: social distancing and safe use of any supplies, scissors mainly. Minimum group size is 1, and the maximum should be 5 or 6 campers. This activity is really designed as a fun team builder with opportunities for the campers to collaborate and problem solve together. It will absolutely bring out a ton of laughs, especially on that last day when they do their presentations. I hope you enjoyed our 3 empowering summer camp activities. Thank you so much for checking out this video presentation. I know it's not an ideal situation, but we have to make the most out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I hope this presentation was enjoyable for you all. To wrap things up, it is important to remember that the success of any activity in the camp setting is dependent on a few factors. To make sure that a camp activity or event is as successful as it possibly can be, I encourage you to follow these steps. Number 1, know what you want your campers to take away from the activity, the event, or the experience. Without a clear purpose, there is no inspiration for the following steps. Step number 2, be creative. One of my beliefs that has been absolutely reaffirmed during the COVID-19 pandemic is that creativity is an extremely important skill in recreation, adventure facilitation, and most importantly in life. We have all been dealt a pretty crappy hand. Now is the time for creative solutions, not excuses. My favorite professor at Springfield College always shared that many times you don't need specialized equipment sets for games in the camp setting. You just need a vision for what you want your group to take away from the experience. You need some creativity, and most importantly, you need the key to the equipment room. Step 3, be kind to campers and camp staff is of the utmost importance, but do so while being authentically you. Youths can read through any false advertising. Being kind and being authentically you will allow you to create meaningful connections at camp, which makes leading much easier. Last but not least, be enthusiastic and buy in to what you are asking the campers to participate in. Always remember that your energy sets the expectation for the campers. If you don't do a good job selling it, they definitely will not buy it. Thank you so much to the CRPA team for their leadership and creativity to deliver the Camp College experience and for thinking of me for this digital event. And thank you all for checking out our engaging and empowering summer camp activities presentation. I hope the information is helpful for you this summer and beyond. Please don't hesitate to call or email me with any questions you may have about the activities. I am always happy to help. Thank you again. Wishing you and yours nothing but health, safety, and happiness. Be well.